let me hit that. Okay, so as far as this particular, I wanted you guys to see the size that I'm drawing this. So I zoomed out on my paper on purpose. I will zoom in right now on the box, just in case for those of you guys that want to go ahead and see a little bit better. But so just so you can see the size, what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna draw a box, and you notice I'm not using a ruler. You can if you wanna keep it straight. I'm just drawing it just for the sake of saving time like this, okay? I can probably do this for the first one, and then on the other ones that I'm going to be drawing, I can go ahead and, use a straight edge if I want, okay? And then from here, I'm just gonna come down. So if you notice, as far as size-wise, we're looking at somewhere about, I don't know, it's about like 2.5, 3 inches maybe as far as the size of a box. So you don't want to do this too small. You don't want to do this too large, because then you're going to take up too much time on the practice. Okay, so you can see size wise, I can fit maybe two boxes right next to each other. I'm not going to do that on the first one, just because I'm going to show you guys, and this is, I'm leaving a space here on purpose in case you guys want to write your step-by-step process here, so you don't forget how to do this particular method. Okay. So after that, we are going to practice on a total of 4 boxes. So if you want to go ahead and draw the other boxes now, you can. So I can for sure fit another one here. So we're looking at maybe at least being able to, on a copy paper, for sure fit 3 up and down. So I can fit 3 boxes here. I'm going to write the steps here, so I'm going to skip and I'll draw another one here. So you need at least a total of 4 boxes total. And like I said, this is going to be our practice. This is not going to be the final. The final, after I show you all of the different Zentangle patterns, you're going to put them together to create your own design, okay? Now, the way you just actually spell Zentangle, so if you guys want to look up additional ones for the final project, because you can add more, I'm going to show you guys a total of 4 to 5. So this is how you spell it. It's Zen, Z-E-N, and it's Tangle, G-L-E. So if you want to write it out, in case you have to, like I said, if you guys have to research more and additional patterns, because the more you have, the better your final is going to look, okay? And so on this one, at least the one we're going to be learning for today, this one is called, and let me see which one we'll start off with, because we have different ones. I think this one will be the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do changing. And I do recommend to write it, because just in case you have to look it up later, after I go over how to do it, you can look this up, because you can find tutorials on it. And I'm actually going to, since I'm recording this one, I'm only going to try to record the demonstration, and I will post it on YouTube and share the link with you guys in case you have to come back and look at how to do this. You'll have that opportunity to look at it, okay? So the changing in Punzel, what the way we're going to start this, I am going to zoom in at this point. So let me go ahead and get closer so you can actually see what I'm doing. So let me focus that a little bit better. Okay, so the changing in Punzel, when we start this part, I am going to start off with the changing first. I had some students in the past where they did not want to do the Punzel part, and that's okay. So if you do the first part that I'm going to show you right now, which is called changing, then you can go ahead and leave it like that if you like the way it looks just with that first part of it, okay? So step 1 right here, I'm going to put the steps. So step 1, I'm going to put as, we're going to draw, and it's the moon. I call it a moon. You can call it a thorn, but I'm just going to call it moon shape. Okay, and if you want to draw what that looks like, because it doesn't really look like a full moon, it actually looks something like this. So you can kind of see that it's like a little thorn almost. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to draw a little moon shape like this. It's like a half moon. Okay. So this is the first step. Second step is going to be to continue with pattern. And I'm just going to put back and forth. And the reason why I put back and forth is because we started off with the tip going in this direction, And on the second one, I'm going to reverse it. So the reason why I say back and forth is because we're going to reverse the shape. Now, notice this doesn't touch all the way. So once I draw my second one that goes in the opposite direction, starting from somewhere here in the middle, then I'm going to come and I'm just going to connect it on this side, okay, just to where it touches the line. So after I do the one that goes in this direction, now I'm going to swap it and go in the opposite direction. So now I'm going to take it and I'm right somewhere about right here in the center, bring it down, and then how this doesn't connect, I'm just going to connect those lines down this way. Then on the opposite side, I'm just going to continue going down, doing the same thing and just concentrating that it looks like a half moon. Now, what do you notice as I continue? So I'm just going back and forth and I'm going to work my way down to the bottom of this. But what do you notice about the shape? Can anybody answer that for me? What do you notice as I'm going downward? And I'll continue it. So I'm just going to swap and go back and forth. But you guys tell me if you notice what is happening to it. Let me know what you guys are seeing and what do you pick up from it? Does anybody notice the difference between the one at the top versus the one closer to the bottom?
It gets wider?
Yeah, it starts to get larger. It gets bigger as it goes downward, and that's okay. Some people were able to do it to where it looked about the same size. The thing is, it looks very, very thin, very, very narrow. And I kind of like that it tapers up to the top. So it gets larger from the bottom, smaller to the top, and it kind of gives it a better illusion. Now, this is just one part of it, because this is the first part, which is called the changing part. The Punzel I have not drawn yet. Now, on the Punzel, some people didn't like the look of it. Like they drew this and they're like, oh, I like that design. I just want to leave it. And then they'll do other little designs on here. Like some people will go all out and they'll start drawing like little circles where they're a little bit bigger and they get smaller. So you can create more design within this first part of it. I think on the example that I'm going to show you, my design, what I did for it was I created like a little diamond shape that went like this. And then I did like another little small diamond shape in the middle of that. And then I kind of brought a line across. So you guys can create more design to this if you choose. It doesn't have to. You can keep it simple and you can always do like, so you can see like I can create other designs within it. But if I want to just draw one line through it in the middle, it'll kind of look like a little leaf. And you know, like I said, you can play with it at this point. But if you just do this, on your final design, you guys can do like some transitions. Like you can go dark to light, dark to light, dark to light, kind of like what I showed you on the other projects, and then make it with more depth, okay? Now the Punzel part, this is the second part, this is the second stage of it. You don't have to do this on the rest of them, but at least practice on one just so you can try it. And if you don't like the way it looks, like I said, on the second box, when you do the second box, just stick to the changing part. If you feel like, no, I don't like that part of the design, I made it look funny or whatever, because some people will do it with different shapes, okay? What I mean by that, so this is the back and forth. Part 3, or at least the step 3, is going to be to start Punzel pattern. And what I mean by starting the Punzel pattern is if you take a look at the little half moon shape here, what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at this line, skip this one, come across this way and bring it across and connect it here. So you have two options. You can either choose to go right here on this one, also to go across. Now pay attention because I'm going to do it very lightly because you're going to have two different options. You can either keep it the same distance all the way, which will make it look a little bit more of a thicker look, or you can choose to take it and also create another opposite point over here. So it will give you two different visual kind of designs, and it's going to just give you a different illusion altogether. Okay, I'm going to keep it with, on this one, just because I want to change it up a little bit, I'm going to keep it with a point. So instead of keeping it the same, I'm just going to come here and just create the point opposite like this. Now, like I said, you can choose to keep it like that. And if you do want to see what it looks like with that, you can always do that. Like I said, when you start the second one over here, because you have to practice at least 4 times, you can go ahead and try it like that on the second one and see if you like it better, okay? So all I'm gonna do is, like I said, so I'm looking at this one because this is my second one. I'm going to come to this line, go across, and then I'm going to take it and bring it this way and attach it to the center of this one over here. And then I'm gonna go across. So I'm skipping this area because it's not see-through. I want it to go behind it. And I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna create a point right there, okay? So I will continue this pattern all the way through. So I'm gonna come here, go across. Now pay attention to this one because if you look at it, you'll notice that this one will also go through. So I'm just gonna skip wherever it comes around like that. And I'm just gonna make sure that it points off like that, okay? And like I said, I'm gonna continue this. Now, I'll continue all the way down to the bottom. So since I already know how to do this, you guys take it slow. Okay, I've done this before, so I already know the pattern. So if you're kind of getting confused, don't rush it. Just go a little bit slower. So this is that one. So that means I got to do this one next. I'm going to come this way. And you just work your way down. And this is the Punzel part of the pattern. See a little piece there. Come this way. And then I also have to continue this one out this way. I don't see this one because it's already off of my page, okay? And like I said, you can play with it as far as adding additional designs. You don't have to, but you know, there are different options. Like I said, you can just keep it like a line that goes like this and it'll kind of look like a little leaf. And also depending on how you shade it later, you can also do the line that goes across this way and it just connects. Oops, I didn't go to the point, but you guys kind of get the idea. This is the time to kind of play and see what you like on the design. So that way, when you do your final, when you put all of the shapes and so forth together, you can kind of say, well, I like the way this looked. I didn't like the way this looked. Or you might not like any design on it and you just want to keep it simple with just these particular designs in the first place, okay? Now on the second one, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit since you guys already kind of got the gist of the idea. So it's starting the Punzel pattern. And then of course it's the last step. So step 4 on this one would be to add transitions. And you know, you can pick and choose where you would want to add them. Now, if you're gonna do just the changing part, it's gonna be very plain. So I recommend if you're just gonna do changing and you don't like that it got bigger with the Punzel, then what I would recommend on the next box, so if that's all you're gonna do, so I'm gonna do one a little bit off to the side. I'm not doing it directly in the middle because I do recommend at least add 2 of them to kind of create some interest and maybe even overlap them a little bit. So you'll see what I mean right now. So right now I'm just going to work on this one so you kind of get the idea of how to do the pattern. And then I would do one more like that. And then I'll do a second one. Maybe this one's a little bit taller and maybe this one, I'm gonna kind of start angling it just a little bit. So what I mean by that is I'll bring this one a little bit more this way. So you notice I'm starting to curve it just a little bit because I'm gonna try to give it the illusion that it's bending towards the other one. And then maybe this one is gonna get overlapped. So I'm just stretching it on purpose all the way this one. Even if there's more space in between, it's okay. And when you do your final one, you guys need to, as you're doing it, just make sure that you try to concentrate on the placement of it a little bit more. That's why I always tell you guys when you start a drawing, always do it very, very lightly. Because if you have to make any changes or whatever, like you're like, I wanted it to be a little bit more that way, then keep it light. So if you have to erase, you're not having those heavy lines. But the more you add, the better of the illusion. Like if I can even do a third one if I wanted to, and maybe put one like right here. And I know this one's gonna be behind in the back. So right now I'm not really concentrating on keeping the pattern too pretty. As far as like you can kind of see that I kind of messed up some of the lines, but that's okay. So then this one would have one coming this way. And then this one would be behind it over here. So you have to probably think a little bit more when it comes to them overlapping. And just make sure they connect, but that's okay. Like take your time and do it as nice as you can do it. And this one just connects like this. Okay. So, you know, you guys play around with it at this point. Like for every box, you should do something a little bit different. You do have to do it 4 times. Today, this is the only one we're going to concentrate on. I'm going to show you guys a brand new one every day that you guys come. You know, and 5 over here, I guess if I had to add an additional step, it would be to play with patterns and designs on the changing and Punzel. So if you want to, this is not necessary as far as like those little patterns and all that, but you can play with it if you want, okay? And honestly, I would do this as step 4 and this is step 5, just because if you're gonna be adding additional patterns and so forth, if you end up putting the transitions first, then you're gonna have to go back and erase certain parts. So those are just little things that you guys can add and whatnot when it comes to the actual drawing itself, okay? Now, once you do all the outlines on all 4 guys for today, what I want you to do is pick your favorite one to add the transitions to. Transitions takes longer, and because this is just a practice, I don't want you guys to spend the whole entire time, you know, working on transitions and so forth, when you might come up, let's say you do that on this one and you come up on the second one and you like this design better, and you already wasted time doing all your transitions on that one, because I'm only requiring you to pick your favorite one to add the transitions to, okay? So we'll put it like that, because it's gonna be taken for a test grade. I do want you guys, even though it's the practice, I do want you guys to take your time, because the way that you can add transitions to this is I can come right here and go dark to light this way. In drawing, when I teach in the drawing classes, guys, rule of thumb, anything that goes behind something else should create a shadow. So this is why I've decided to go dark to light from this going this way, because it has the illusion that it's going underneath that shape. So because it looks like it's going behind it, you want to create a little shadow in there. And this is why on this design, you should go dark to light this way. Can I opt to go in the opposite direction? Yes, but it's going to change and kind of be a little bit confusing to the eye, which is not a bad thing, because then you're forcing the viewer to really think about, you know, what's going on in your picture plane. Now, if you do this where it automatically already looks like it's going underneath, and I follow that design, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm not going to have any kind of confusion, and I'm helping the viewer. I'm guiding their eye to go from dark to light. Okay, so this is just kind of helping what's already there. Like it already looks like it's going underneath. So if I choose to do it that way, then it's going to look like something. Now, if I do it opposite, let's say I come right here and I go dark to light in this direction, then this is where I say it's going to change your whole perspective, and it's going to start playing with your eye, and it's going to start looking different. So if I do that on every single one, and take your times and do your transitions right, remember circular motion, and lift the transition slowly, so that way you get the super, super dark, and you also have the medium grays, and you have your light, okay? But if I do this, you're gonna see the difference. It's gonna look different. If I choose to do the dark to light this way, it's not gonna look the same. It's almost gonna look like it's being illuminated, like if it's almost like, if you've ever seen those lamps where they have lights in the inside, and it's causing for light to come throughout this way. So it's not that it's wrong, because maybe this is one of those little lamps that has those little light bulbs in there, and that's why the light is coming from the inside of the object. So like I said, it's not that it's wrong, or maybe it's a sculpture piece, like it could look like a sculpture piece that is painted, and that's why it has the dark to light. It's like a dark color going to a light color. So like I said, just because you choose to do it opposite doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. It's just going to give you a different illusion. And that's what you guys have to start learning now in Art 1, that depending on what you do on your shading can give the illusion of something else. And if I cover this right here, like if I take my paper and I cover this, that's going to look different versus when I come over here and I do this, and that's going to look like a whole different thing, different object. Okay. So just to kind of start making you guys aware of the reason why we teach you these little effects. So that way, as you do this stuff to your drawings, you know what to expect. Okay. Other things you can do. So this is just as an example. So when you're shading the final one, let's say this is your favorite one, make sure that you shade the entire box, including the background. So some things that you could do to this shape, you can either choose to go dark to light in the back, but of course avoiding your object. So you would have to kind of, whatever this is, match it over here on this side. Or let's just say I want to go dark to light outward just to kind of enhance some of these little areas. Because one option that I could do is I can make these areas super jet black that will make the actual object itself pop out. So those are options that you can do to yours. And then here's another one. So I can do this one over here. Here's one right here. So every single one of these little inside areas, I can make it look like if it's shadowed in the background. Or I don't have to. I mean, like I said, I can always go dark to light like that if I really, really wanted to. Just you would have to kind of be very careful with making sure that whatever's on this matches whatever's coming through here. Whatever matches here, and you have to go slowly, okay? If I do it like this, then I can get away with doing all of these super jet black. And then right around it, also go jet black, but just right here, right up to it. Because for me, I don't know, just the way that my mind works, for me, this is easier. But, you know, to each their own. If you find the other one easier, then you can do it like that. And what I'm going to do is once I go around it super dark, I'm going to work my way out with my transition. So I will go dark to light towards the outside. And pencil only, guys. I cannot stress this enough because I have had students in the past where they take me the first half and I teach them all of this of how to transition properly. And then they come back to me after Christmas break and all of a sudden they're using their fingers again for shading. And that is not correct. If I see that, and just by looking at it, I can tell, guys, if it's being shaded with your fingers or if you're doing the transition properly, where I showed you guys the circular motion. And as you work your way out, pick up the transition, pick up the pressure slowly, and you should be able to get all the grays that fall in between. And use the side of your pencil so that way it comes out smoother. If you use the side of your pencil, that will help guide it to where it looks smoother rather than using your fingers. So just use the side of your pencil and it should help smooth it out. And you should go back and forth and kind of fix whatever needs to be fixed as far as the areas that don't look even and so forth, but just take your time and do it slowly, okay? And so of course I would work my way all the way around. And like I said, you only have to shade one. So that's why I say do the outline for all four, and then you pick your favorite one and shade it. Now, each box is going to, because it's going to be taken for a test grade, each box that you do is going to be worth 25, actually it's 20 points. And the reason why is because the box that's going to be shaded is going to be the other points, the other 5 points to be able to get the 100 if we end up doing the 4. Just because, like I said, if I have time to show you 5, then I'll show you 5. But since now we're breaking up the actual work into, like, I only see you guys Mondays and this and that, and then Fridays are like if maybes, you know, we'll see. I might be able to get away with doing something on Friday, at least to show you maybe the more simplest one. But we'll play it by ear, okay? So as far as for today, what you need to have, and let me refocus that. So you have to have the 4 boxes with the outlines of the changing in Punzel, and then choose your favorite one to do the shading on. And then remember, this is just practice. And this is the time to play with it, because if you're not happy with how something comes out, like maybe you're like, oh, well, I don't like that she did this all the way dark like this. I would rather go dark to light this way because this is getting lost up here and that sort of thing. And it's justifiable. However, you guys, that's why I like shading it like this, because when I do this technique where I go around it with the dark, it doesn't tend to get lost the way this does up here on the top. But you know, it's just different for everybody. So Practice it, play with it, see what you like, see what you don't like. Like I said, this is going to be taken for a test grade. And once you guys end up showing me that you practiced on each one, you know, you'll be able to get a grade for it. Now, just a reminder that we're going to be moving to Schoology soon. I don't know when exactly. That I know of, the teachers have to be done with Schoology as far as our modules and getting trained on it by the 15th, which is the end of this week. So there's a chance we might start next week on Schoology, which I already have this up for the Art Ones in Schoology. Like I'm starting to prep my stuff on the platform already. And it should already have at least the Zentangle upload on that one. That doesn't mean to upload it now, because we're not there yet. So you should just be working on this. Don't worry about Schoology just yet. Just worry about getting this situated with. And when we do move to Schoology, there will be an area for you guys to be able to upload when we get there. Okay, it's not published just yet. So that's why we're not there yet. Okay. Do I have any questions related to the actual work itself? Like, was anything confusing that you guys need me to re-go over? Yes. Yes, Eliasar, just to answer your question really quick on the chat, yes, I am going to take the packet as a test grade. So that's why I'm breaking it down into points for you. You're going to get 5, 10, 15, 20 points off of the outlines on this. And the other 5 points come from how well you shade whichever box you decide you are going to shade. And then when we're finished with the 4 designs, you should have the 100 points for that test grade. Yes, Alexis, you had a question? Or somebody, I don't remember who unmuted themselves.
It was me.
What's up, Jada?
I'm trying to do the pattern, but I'm struggling. Like, it looks nothing like yours.
Okay, so what effect are you getting?
I'm only doing the first one.
Okay, so you're talking about the changing, this part?
No, like the thing in general. Like
okay, so the Punzel, which is the second one that's added, or the whole entire thing?
the entire thing.
Okay, so I'll break it down for you a little bit. Let me do it one more time so that way you can follow along. And like I said, I'm going to post this video just for your class only. I'm going to record each individual one when it comes to this presentation, and I pin my video so you won't see anybody on the screen and so forth. And I'll go ahead and upload it so that way if you guys have to watch this again slowly, you can. But let me just do it one more time so you guys have it. So, and I did have a couple of people join us. Like I had Jocelyn come in and Suzette, which I already marked you guys present, so you guys are good. It's just
I saw you at Stripes.
Monday.
I saw you at Stripes.
Nice. You should have bought me a taco. Looking at this over here, guys. So this is what I showed him real quick. If you guys weren't in the room when I went over it, these are the steps. So you're gonna draw a moon shape. I kind of drew it there. It's like a half moon almost. Continue with pattern back and forth. You're gonna start the punzel, and then you can play with patterns in the design of the punzel and then add transition. Okay, so this is what it looks like when I break it down. So, and actually, let me get closer so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit closer. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna start with a half moon. So you're gonna take the shape and you're gonna go like this and like this. So think of it like a half moon, or if it makes it easier for you, Jada, you can also kind of think of it like if you were drawing a rose and if you were putting the stem, it looks like a little thorn. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it. I see it more like a thorn, but everybody's like, oh, that's like a half moon. So that's why over the years I've called it like that. But for me, it looks more like a thorn of a rose, okay? Then the back and forth step is because I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. So if I did it in this direction here, then I'm going to change it and go in the opposite direction. I try not to look at the first shape I did. I try to pay attention just to this shape that I'm drawing here. So that way it still looks like a thorn. Because if you notice, when I did that first one here, it's automatically gonna get bigger, okay? And then of course, if it doesn't connect, then I'll connect it. So that's why I don't pay attention too much about it, because when you do this first one and you're concentrating on this, you're not thinking about the shape. You're thinking about, oh, I needed to touch the 2 lines. That's why don't worry about that part. Just concentrate on getting the shape. And then if you have to bring it down and connect it, you can, okay? So now when I do this side, I'm gonna change the direction. I'm not gonna look at what I already did. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at this right here so I know I'm starting more or less in the middle. And then don't pay attention to that, just pay attention to that it's going to have a thorn shape. Whether it's thin or thick, you know, this one might be a little bit thinner than this, but that's why I say keep it light, don't do it too dark. I'm only doing it dark so you guys can see what I'm doing on screen, but you guys should concentrate on the shape, if anything, and keep it light so that way if you have to go back and erase and change it, you can, okay? So same thing for this one. I'm not looking at this. All I'm doing is just looking at this section to know that I'm starting here in the center of it, and then I'm gonna just concentrate on the shape itself. So I'm gonna just make sure, just by chance, this part connected. This one didn't, but all I have to do is just drag it and connect it, okay? And I'll just continue all the way down. So I'm not looking at the rest of it. I'm just looking that this creates a thorn shape or half moon, whatever you associate it with. And then the same thing right here, half, and then just connect. And then this one would I'd probably see just a little tiny bit of it right here. So I'll just add a little one. And that's the first part. That's what's called changing, because it's changing back and forth. That's why they call it changing. And then the punzel is the part of the backing, which you don't have to do. If you like the way this looks, you don't have to add that. You can customize it, you can change it, but just so that way you know the pattern, the official pattern, you're looking at the first one. So I'm just concentrating on the first one only. And basically I'm skipping this area. So I'm gonna pretend that it's going behind it, and I'm gonna bring it around and end it somewhere. And then I'm looking at this one coming around. So I'm trying to give it the same distance more or less, make it look like it's going behind this first one. And I'm gonna bring it. And then on this one, I'm actually gonna do it different. I'm not gonna do it, because remember on the first one, when I came around, I made the little point. So I'm not gonna do a point on this one. On this one, it's gonna look way different. Like I said, some people liked the way it looked, some people didn't. And so all I'm doing is I'm keeping more or less the same distance of where it would be. And this kind of looks almost like a little seaweed if I had to compare it to something, okay? So now I'm looking at the second one. And then I'm gonna just do this, come around here, bring it and end it. And then I'm gonna come this way, since this one's going behind here. And I'm gonna keep it more or less the same distance and come this way. And this one, you can see it already looks way different. It looks nothing like the same, okay? So here I'm coming around here and I'm gonna end it. And then this one, just by chance, because it's going behind two different ones, I gotta make it look like it's going in the back. So I'm gonna come right here and I'm just gonna end it right there. Now, don't get confused, because that's the first one, that's the second one, that's the third one. So now I'm looking at the fourth one. So if you have to do that where you're going like this, 1, 2, 3, oh, okay, now this is my next one. Then do that. If you have to count them, okay? But this one goes behind. I gotta go with one first, so I can do my second one and kind of do the same thing where I go around. And look at how much different this looks. Totally different than the first one that I was doing, because I'm keeping the same distance rather than doing the point. But to each their own. Some people like it, some people don't. Okay, so that was this one. So now I'm doing this one next. If I want to do the top one, because this one's kind of already getting lost, it's okay. So I'm just going to come around this way because I don't really see anything here. And then this one, I'm only going to see this little tiny part of it. And that's it. That's it. The rest, they disappear. So you can see this looks way different than this one that has the point. So it's up to you on which one you guys, and that's why I want you guys to play around with it now, so that way you can test out to see what you like and what you don't like, okay? Some people like it a certain way. You know, probably if I was redoing this one, and this is why I tell you guys to keep it light, I don't like that it's not as even, so I probably would have kept this a little bit thinner, you know, just so that way it's a little bit closer to this side of what's happening over here. But, you know, I mean, if it wants to go where it wants to go, let it, you know, it's not that it's wrong. So you guys can play around with it and see what you like, what you don't like. But this is the first design in Zentangle that I usually show, just because at least if you don't want to do the Punzel part, this part isn't too confusing as far as just going back and forth with that little moon shape, okay? I am going to be showing you guys different designs. So let's just say you guys don't pick this one up. I usually tell my students when we do the 5, which that's why now that we're online and we're doing, what's the word? The block scheduling, I need to see if there's even enough time to show you guys the full 5 designs. If I can't show you guys the full 5 designs and we only end up doing 4, then I might change it, because I usually show 5 designs, and out of the 5 designs in the previous years, I have told my students that you have to select 3 out of the 5 to use on your final. And then after the fact, if you're not happy with the other 2 because it was just too hard for you, choose other designs online to add. Okay, and I'll tell you guys the amount at the very end when we get started with the final. Right now, I'm just showing you these as of right now, okay, before we start the practice. But this is the practice packet for the designs, and then we're gonna do a sketch for the final, so that way you guys can come up with your designs. And then we're gonna start on the final image, okay? Now, I am gonna show you guys examples today of previous assignments that have been done before, so you can see where this is going, and that we're gonna have to do a lot more than just this one design for the final. I haven't decided yet. I've had changed numbers in the past with other years, guys, and I've had it to where I told my students, okay, so this year you have to have a minimum of 10 designs, you know, as an example. And then the other following year, I think I did 8 designs. And then I didn't like the way that looked, so I said, okay, minimum 12 designs, you know, so they can be simple designs as well. So just because we're going over these, which are gonna be, and like I said, if we do 5, I'm gonna make it a minimum of 3 that you're gonna have to select out of the 5 that I show you to incorporate somehow in your design, your final design. And then the other thing I'm gonna show, like if I end up showing only 4, I'm probably gonna make a minimum of 2 that you'll have to select, just because some you might like and some you might not like, and it might be more difficult for you. And I'm gonna show you my example that I've done over the years. Now this one has color in it because I've showed you guys how to use color, how to use pointillism with marker. You guys are allowed to select whichever you want to do. If you want to do it all black and white, you can. If you want to do a mix of both, you can. So here's an example of one that I had started, and I've been doing little by little over the years. I usually add like a small feature or detail every single year. You can notice that over here, like I'm not done yet. These were supposed to look like these on this side. I have like little areas here that have not been filled out yet. So little by little, I'm adding over the years as we go. And I will be showing you guys more designs that are incorporated throughout. So the one we did right now, you can see right away is this. This is the changing in Punzel that I decided to put on the paper. I even added like some stuff that we did with the pointillism, like the bugs with the pointillism. So if you guys want to add stuff from previous assignments, you don't have to stick to just pattern. You can stick to stuff that has like a little bit of realism. Like this is not necessarily realistic, but like it's like some flower designs. I had a flower on my desk because I was buying a bunch of these types of flowers. And so like that year I took a look at it and I added it on there. So like I said, you can be a little bit more like, you know, if you want to just add like just simple pattern like this where it has, it's a silhouette version of a flower, like the leaf plant, you can do that as well. But just to kind of show you guys some ideas of what's been done in the past with the Zentangle pattern. So basically you're gonna put all the designs together to create your own design, okay? Here's some other ones that some students have done. You know, we take a look at this one, you know, and they did some other designs where they just kept it simple and they did the black and white version of it. Remember, these pages are larger than what you guys are gonna be working on because you're gonna be working on an 8x10, and these guys are working on, I think it's double that. Like if we take a look and we put an 8x10 paper, it's a little bit bigger than double, okay? So just because of that, be aware that when they're doing this in class, this is why they decided to choose certain areas to make solid, but they're still adding the transitions and so forth like that, okay? So here's an okay example. You know, this is the one we learned today, the changing in Punzel, but they changed them and they kind of turned them into like little leaves and so forth like that. So you can create something off of it. It doesn't have to be just the simple design as well, okay? There's another one here. Now this one, the reason why I kept this one to talk about is that I like the whole idea of the colors that they're using. The only thing I would have added on this one, because it doesn't have enough transitions, is my only thing, just because I teach you guys transitions on these. I would have preferred to have seen some more transitions, especially on the areas. Like here, this is fine because they're doing pointillism with transitions, but then we have, it's just too many of the solid parts. So make sure that when you guys are doing your designs at the very end, that you're very, like take that into consideration that, you know, I taught you guys how to do color blending and all that stuff. So it should be incorporated in your final design. And remember, some of these that stay behind with me are not finished. You know, they wanted to add a Spider-Man. That's fine. I said, okay, because they were actually, this is not done. And this was honestly, we were doing this project right before the pandemic let out. And so some of these have been left behind just because they didn't, you know, they didn't, I mean, we were only so much into the project. So some of these are from that last year, okay? But they, I mean, they were starting to add color blending. They were actually gonna do color blending in every single one of these. I think they were gonna do black and white here, where they were gonna do the, if I remember talking about it with this gentleman, he was gonna go from dark to light, dark to light, dark to light, dark to light with pencil. And then this is where he was gonna do his color blending. So you can add characters, I'm fine with that. And I told him, like, I would have wished he would have put more transitions on the actual Spider-Man itself. Here's another one. So you can see that they're adding other designs. They did like a little thermometer because of the sun and stuff like that. So, you know, they did the kind of like the seasons. So we have the fall and then the summer, and then we've got, you know, in the rain season and so forth. So they were kind of putting some of that stuff in there. So, I mean, these are just options, you know, they're still adding some transitions, even though they kind of kept it simple on this side. Kind of wish it would have had a little bit more design just because I saw how much design this side had. So it kind of, even, I guess they kind of balanced it out just because they added color, but it could have had more, okay? And I'm just showing you guys ideas. Remember, the stuff that gets left behind with me, it's not the best stuff. You know, they did all right. They did the project, but, you know, I just wish they would have been a little bit more neat and cleaner. Like these lines got lost, you know what I mean? So I would have just gone back and kind of make sure that I darken them before I do with the dark to light and so forth. But this is all black and white. You can choose to do a pencil. You don't have to do color. It's just an option. Here's another one that is not done. They were just basically working on the design. They barely started the actual transitions, but you know, I mean, look at how much this has got going on for it. So I mean, design wise, it's a really good design. They just had to start, of course, adding the shading and all that. And like I said, you know, a lot of these that were not finished like this is because we had just left out for the pandemic, and so they just didn't come back for them. But I don't throw any of the stuff away, because if they want to come back for it, they are more than welcome to. You know, here's another one not finished, but it's getting there. Like, it's got design, so you can add like flower designs as well. You know, over here, there's I didn't necessarily teach this particular design, but they remember it because they were like, ma'am, I kind of did this kind of stuff in middle school. Can I add stuff? Yeah, so you can add other designs to it. You don't have to stick, of course, I'm going to ask for more anyways, so you don't have to stick to just the ones that I show. And again, you know, not finished, but you know, this one's a little messy on this part. Be very careful when you guys are doing yours, so that way they stay a little bit more clean. And here's another stuff when it comes to design wise, you know, they're going all out as far as for, you know, they wanted to kind of do like a heart, but they did it with leaf design in there, as well as adding some of the Zentangle stuff that I had shown. And so you can see that, you know, they added even like some sign language and stuff like that. So they just did love, like you can see that it for those of you guys that know sign language, the letters. You know, here's another black and white one. A lot of design, even though like you can do checkerboard and stuff like that, which I will show later. Like on my design, if you look at mine, I actually did checkerboard on this one, but I changed it. So instead of doing just regular flat, I kind of made it look, it almost looked like a spider web. And then I did every other one with incorporating just a little bit of transition. It's kind of hard to see on camera. Let me see if I can focus it, but you can kind of see that I did a tiny bit of transition over on the white, and that's what gives the illusion that's a little bit more round. So those are just things to consider. The more you add, the better it's going to look, okay? And again, these are just like some ideas, guys. You know, this particular person, if you look at it, they wanted to use the silhouette of a monkey, but then they added other designs here inside. So you can do stuff like that as well. Doesn't have to be a silhouette where it's solid, like the one I did right here, where it was like of the leaf structure. You can do the silhouette while adding more patterns within that particular design that you decide, okay? And so, like I said, I'm just showing you guys some examples. I'm hoping that you guys come out with something more original for yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording there because that's what I'll post.